Welcome to QUIZZY Monday Live. What a Monday it's been of quizzing, and what a week it's been of quiz news. And one of the big news stories, in fact, if not the biggest news story, is this. Who should host Mastermind? With the news that John Humphreys is stepping down from his seat on Mastermind. 18 years he's been in the chair. The question is, who should host Mastermind? Now, if you've got views or any thoughts about who should be hosting Mastermind, then put your comment or question to us in the chat. We'll be able to bring those on. Tonight joining me is Michael Kohn from Imperial College's team, he's captain of the current Imperial College team. And we've also got Lindsay Baumeister of the Whodunnits, who are on Only Connect, tonight. But just before we bring them in, just want to run through a couple of things. The winner of Quizzer of the Week. We have a vote in our Quiz Week Thursday evening program. We have nominations from across the world of competitive quizzing, and the winner this week was Jacob Myers, who won the World Series of Quiz Mimir competition. Second was Lewis Jones. Third was Paul Sinner. So congratulations to them. And the team of the week, excuse me, we had a tie for the first time. We had a tie between the Hittites from the Milton Keynes Quiz League and the Mangoes, and third were a Neutral MILF Hotel from the USA. So congratulations to those. We had the most votes we've ever had this week, so fantastic. So just to recap, the winner of the Quizzer of the Week was Jacob Myers, and the winner of Team of the Week was shared between Hittites and Mangoes. And just to let you know that coming up this week on Wednesday, I believe, is Cryptic. It's been edited, it's ready, but things have rather taken over recently. And the thing that's really taken over is a video we released today, which is this one. Who should host Mastermind? We've got a new video up on our channel discussing what we're looking for in a Mastermind host and putting some names forward. So by all means, check that out. Tell us what you think, but equally give us comments throughout tonight's show. So without further ado, having done the housekeeping, I want to welcome onto the stream Michael and Lindsay. Hello.
Hello.
Wow. I mean, Lindsay, it seems like only half an hour we were looking at you on TV. And I think first thing,
was I there? Twitter seems to have got two Allens and there's no Lindsay.
I thought it was an amazing team performance from the three of you. I was completely blown away.
It's funny because we're absolutely. I was so lucky to get the Allens and we did gel very well, but nobody ever seems to notice what I do. And one of my funny jokes was cut out. So.
Oh, that's the worst thing.
And my demonstration of the salmon ladder. I'm just devastated.
I want to see this salmon ladder impression that you mentioned. Come on, let's see. What does a salmon ladder look like?
So Vicky said what it was, and I said it's the thing with the bar where you jump up. That's what Stephen Amell did in Arrow. It's how he trained for the character in Arrow, and they cut that out. Okay,
I get you. It's on...
I've seen Arrow too, but I didn't pick up on the name of the thing.
Yeah. It was why I got it pretty quick with the ladders.
So I'm now remembering it from Ninja Warrior. So that's my frame of reference.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Well, yeah, yes, absolutely, me either. Yeah, well, that was an unexpected start to the stream. I didn't expect us to be talking Ninja Warrior. What I did want to say is, Lindsay, happy birthday. Not only were you on Only Connect tonight and coming on this stream, but it's your birthday. I mean, I'm sure there's many things you could be out doing tonight. But
or not if it's lockdown. Happy birthday.
There's only so many walks you can take your dog on and things like that at the moment. Although Ultimate Romance, when we went out with the dog in mid-morning, Steve did offer to pick up the poo because it was my birthday.
Oh, that's love.
That's romance.
So yeah, just a reminder to anybody who's tuned in, and if you haven't watched the stream before, you can put comments in the YouTube comments section. They'll pop up in our stream, and if they raise an interesting point, or if it's something we want to talk about, or if it's a question you want to ask to people who've been on the current series of University Challenge and Only Connect, you can ask those questions. And wow, hang on, I've just had a whole bunch pop up. And Grace says, happy birthday.
Dave
says, happy birthday. Miles says, what a great way to spend a birthday. Valerie says, happy birthday. Claire says, happy birthday. I see a theme. This is all going very, very well. Lindsay, yeah, happy birthday. I guess we can close that one off.
Also, I've realized, I think, was the last time you were on, Lindsay? I think I was. I think, yeah, the last time we were here and the next time.
People are going to talk.
You're a dynamic duo. Will G, happy birthday and well played. So before we get going looking at tonight's TV, the big news of the week has been John Humphries stepping down from Mastermind after 18 years, or at the end of this series, he will be. As I said in the intro, we've got a video that discusses that and likely candidates. But I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about it, because myself, Paddy and Shanine, we went into it in great depth. But Michael, I mean, I think perhaps Mastermind means something slightly different to somebody of my generation than perhaps it means to your generation. Is it really even on your radar nowadays?
Not until they announced he was leaving, actually. The first time I watched Mastermind in about 5 years was when I last came on the show, and I thought this time I'm probably going to get away with just watching Only Connect and Universal Channels, the ones I actually enjoy watching. Sorry. I think the whole thing, there's been a lot of discussion that I've seen from what you've done here about the questions need to be shorter. And that's one of the reasons I find it boring. I think, well, I like John Humphries on Today when he was on Today program, that is, but I didn't like him as Mastermind presenter. I talked to members of the Imperial Quiz Society and members of other quarterfinal teams on University Challenge in our group chat about I said, I'm going on this thing. Anyone want to say who they would like to see? I think I've seen 3 choices that have come up again and again from other quizzes, which is Clive Myrie, Michelle Hussain, and Samira Ahmed, all from the sort of journalism point of view. And I think any of them would be really good. Personally, my choice of the 3 would be Samira Ahmed. Some other people said Sean Wallace was Richard Brooks of the team before me's choice. I always put Sue Perkins in this thing. I'd love Sue Perkins. I think she'd be great. Sandy Toksvig, I know she does QI already, but I think she'd also be great. Someone else suggested Roger Tilling. I know he's already on one, and I'd prefer to see someone who's a woman, but Roger Tilling has an amazing voice for it, and he's been backstage for all this time for University Challenge. I think I'd like to see him front stage. Jim Whittle from Strathclyde said Craig Rebel Horwood and Darcy Bussell. I think he might have been joking. And Holly Parkinson said Stephen Fry. Again, I think he might be a little old for it. I'd like to see someone younger. So of all of those, I'd choose Sue Perkins, Sandy Toksvig, or Samir Ahmed.
I have to say, I think Darcy Bussell isn't actually that bad a shout. I can really imagine her doing it. But that's interesting. A real diversion of opinions, but there's a lot of opinion coalescing, as you say, around Samira Ahmed, Michelle Hussain, Clive Myrie, people wanting a quite significant change in casting policy for this role. And well, if you watch our video, you see that I agree wholeheartedly. Lindsay, what do you think about this? Does Mastermind matter to you nowadays?
I think if like I said, the questions are too long and you can't interrupt, which puts me right off because I'm not very good at holding my tongue. But I think I don't really care who it is, but I think it needs to be someone who is there and is there. I don't feel like John Humphries adds anything. I don't think he has a personality particularly, or whether he's trying to be. It had a history when we were young, Gareth. It was that serious show. It was really this highbrow thing. It was probably the first quiz like that on TV. And it doesn't need to be that way now. It's already got that history. It's already revered by quizzes. Bring someone on who is the reason Bradley Walsh is such a good quiz show host is because he's about the contestants. He isn't about himself. And that's whichever one they choose, I think that's what it needs to be. It needs to be about the characteristics that they have rather than just who they are or they fit a particular demographic. I did make a joke earlier on about we need more diversity, so we should get Ashley Banjo. But I have had some Aperol, so there you go. Yeah, I think it's about the personality and what they can bring to it. I do think Sean would actually be really good, and having been a champion, I do think makes it something he would really take to heart and take very personally to make it good. Yeah, it's got to be about how they connect. It's a very short show, so they don't get a lot of time. You know, it's very questions out questions, so it has to be someone who can make that impact, I think, in a very short space of time.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, again, I don't want to go over what we said in the video because I want people to watch the video. Come on, watch the video. Get the links up. But Miles says it's a chance for them to revitalize the show, make questions shorter, a little bit more fast-paced. I think this is an opportunity, and I think it's perhaps a once-in-a-generation opportunity to show some leadership, as I say on the video. We have had 18 years of old white man journalist. We had a long period of old white man journalists before that. Quiz can seem a very white and very male-dominated thing, and very heterosexual-dominated thing. You know, it's seen by a lot of people as the preserve of a certain demographic. This is an opportunity to say the quiz is for everybody, and to put somebody out there whose credentials are impeccable, but they don't look like the usual choice. So I'm hoping that they make a leadership choice and they give us somebody interesting, somebody capable. We don't want anybody who's not capable, but I would very much like a woman and a person of color, ideally. And I'd be very disappointed if it's somebody like Jeremy Vine. And I come to this comment here on another platform the other day. I suggested Jeremy Vine and got told to shut up.
I know, Will.
I mean, that could have been me. But because I just think Jeremy Vine would be a lazy choice. It's an obvious choice. It's a lazy choice, but it does nothing to take the show forward.
They've got with that. You know, you mentioned about the questions and stuff. That is the opportunity. Bringing someone new who will revitalise it from a presenter point of view, but also just tweak the format. That's not what quiz shows are about anymore. And if they do that at the same time, I think they'll create that recipe for success, and more people want to go on it, and it'll become it pains me to watch it. When I'm coming on here, I always watch it. It pains me. I don't like Jeremy Paxman. It pains me to watch University Challenge.
I'm sorry, I'm causing you so much pain on your birthday, Lindsay.
Get James May or someone. You could have Clarkson, May, and Hammond. Get Hammond on another quiz show, and you could have all three. You need a taller chair for Hammond if he was to do Mastermind, but James May also would even still be an increase in personality from Jim Humphries. But yeah, they've got an opportunity, and I hope this is it.
Yeah, but I agree with you. If they choose someone that's interesting and they change the questions, I will sign up.
Yeah.
And start watching again. If not, if you know they mess this one up, I'm not even going to give it a second chance.
So this is their chance. Dan has said Mastermind, it's an interesting way to put it, has become the endless quizzes, a much-loved institution that hasn't kept up with a changing audience. Humphries is leaving. It's a great chance to make it relevant to the next generation. I think that's what we're saying here. It's like, you know, this is not a steady as she goes situation. It's not a radical reinvention thing either, but it's about just pressing a little bit of a reset and taking it forwards and sending a signal to the rest of the TV world that actually there is no preserve anymore of the aged white man, that it is open to people based on talent, and they are open to a diverse casting base. And I think for me that's my key hope. We've got some comments. We've got Gerard saying Michelle Hussein or Kirsty Young are strong candidates. Harry Heath has said Michelle or maybe Emily Maitlis. I like the fact that people are thinking this way, because otherwise we're thinking, okay, so who's hosting on Radio 4 nowadays? But it's you know,
this isn't the US election. We don't need to replace an old white man with another old white man just to make people happy. Let's do something. You know, let's do the right thing.
And somebody made a comment on the video, you know, you can't be what you don't see. Representation matters. And if you've got somebody in that seat who looks different from what we've been used to, that says the door is open. And there's a comment here from Fatima. I wish, you know, I couldn't have said it better. A woman of color would definitely have me watching again. You know, you've got entire demographics who look at it and think, this show isn't for me. There are no people like me on this show. And I know they've been really trying. Actually, they're casting-wise, they've been really trying to increase the diversity. But fundamentally, I think it needs this change. So,
although I will say now, directly to Fatima, who is a member of ICQS and on the next Imperial team, if we start discussing tonight's University Challenge match, stop watching, because we are meant to be watching it in training. Don't ruin the questions for yourself.
I think it's sad. There will be people who say we shouldn't need to do that.
Yeah.
But we do. And it's the fact that we do makes the people say we don't need to.
Yeah.
It does, the country and the world's made up of a massively diverse, not just ethnic, but, cultural LGBTQ. That's the APROL.
Yeah.
I think Sue Perkins actually is a great choice for representing that type of community. I think she's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've got to do something right.
And there is a
I was reminded in your match with Victoria's stellar pronunciation of Mug and Dovett that, of course, there are people like me, which I knew that she was Jewish, and it makes, and seeing other University Challenge contestants who've been Jewish in the past, it helps. I was actually concerned when I went on that there would be anti-Semitism. There wasn't actually.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. We travelled to America with a friend of mine who has a black dad, and we actually consciously thought, can we go there? Can we drive around there? Should we get out and walk? And that was like 10 years ago. It's mental. But I think we do need it. We need people to be brave and go on and do those things, so that those of us who want to tell those people to shut up can at least then tell those people to shut up. And I know you do that a lot, Gareth, with trolls on Twitter.
Yeah, we'll move on for anybody who's waiting for us to dissect the episodes from tonight. We will move on in a minute. Grace says, "Oh God, I don't want another US election." I think we really don't want to turn it into that. Dan put out an interesting comment about how about different presenters for the celebrity and regular variants. So you could have a serious journo for one and an entertainment person for the other. I think that's not a bad idea. 15-1 did that for a while.
Adam
I think Christmas University Challenge would also be nice with a different presenter.
So, yeah, I mean, open their minds to these things. Go on, Lindsay.
Clarkson, the other Jeremy, for the Christmas one.
Oh, no. Other thoughts, Sarah Millican, Dotun Adebayo. Fatima's saying to you, I will leave, I promise. So when we get to talking about that. So, fine. Grace has suggested Olivia Colman. We'd never get Olivia Colman for Mastermind.
I wish.
Probably not even Jennifer Saunders. But hey, this is wish list territory. It may be this has already been decided, and this is a pointless discussion. But I think it's an important discussion to be had, because I think if not now, then when? If they appoint another old white man and we have to wait 5, 10, 15 years before there's another opportunity to discuss this, then I think that's an opportunity missed. So now is the time for people to shine the light on talent that is out there.
Rotate it per series. Just have a one series host.
That's interesting.
So you're going to have to diversify. You're going to have to find different people, and every time it can bring something a bit new.
Well, and on that bombshell of an idea, obviously people keep comments coming into the comment section, and if there is anything, we'll pull them out during the show. I do just want to touch on the Mastermind tonight, so I apologise if you were forced to watch it. Only in the sense that I think Maxim, the winner, was a very worthy winner. He got 9 out of 11 of his own questions, 13 out of 16 on his general knowledge, and some of the others just really they struggled, particularly in general knowledge. That if once they hit a roadblock, they just couldn't get themselves out of it, which was unfortunate. And you feel for them. There was clearly some knowledge there, but the person who dealt best with the pressure and the challenge of being in the chair was Maxim on the Mongol invasions. And I thought, he's one to watch for the next round. I don't know if you guys actually watched it in the end.
Yes, I did, because I try and keep score for the general knowledge.
Yeah.
After Dave doing it on my first time, and I did get more on his than I got on the others. So whether that's just my knowledge or the questions, I don't know. But he, like you say, he clearly did just seem completely calm and composed. I felt really sorry for VJ, because clearly not a Barry Manilow fan.
No.
So I felt like, I think maybe they need to do something with some of the questions as well to make them a little bit more open to people of a more diverse background. But yeah, I did feel for him with the questions that he got.
Well, he failed to get off to a start. It was like 2 wrong and 2 passes in his first 4 questions. He couldn't get himself going. And I think this might also be a record. Be interesting to see if anything else beats this. But for a question that became out of date most recently. So we were asked about the 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. And less than 24 hours ago, he became a 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. So that's that came out of date quite quickly. And there was another question where I just felt a little bit harsh on Richard, where he gave St. Lawrence something, not the St. Lawrence Seaway, but something like it. And then John Humphreys spent quite a long time correcting his pronunciation. So,
I got his question on his specialised subject where they asked him what theatre one of them was shown in was really stupid. That's not, you don't revise that as something. If you're revising musicals, you're not going to look at every theatre they were all shown in. I thought that was pretty harsh.
Well, it was a very broad subject, I think, because if you're talking about, it was Broadway musicals of the 40s and 50s. So I think
I might actually go and watch that one bit.
I think if you agree a subject with the production team, and if you agree the subject, it's not just about the writers and the performers, or about the script or the music or whatever, but it can be about any aspect of production. Then that's what you have to prepare, and I think it makes it a very broad, tough subject. If people asked, where was Hamilton put on? If somebody did Hamilton the musical, then I expect people to know the Richard Rodgers Theatre, just because I'm a Hamilton nerd. But I think that's probably the angle they took. I can't speak for it, but it certainly felt like a hard question. And he got to halfway through and then couldn't buy an answer in his specialist subject.
I didn't know the other subjects, whereas I knew that one a little bit, so that's probably why it felt more harsh to me as well than some of the others.
There was Gerard saying was the triple vaccine one wrong. I have to say I'm not sure on that one.
You see, I was a bit uncertain because when I was at school, it wasn't a triple vaccine as in one jab for 3 things, because you got the polio one on a sugar cube. So you got them all at the same time, but I don't remember them being one vaccination.
Which one is this?
No, not MMR. It was something and polio.
Yeah,
I would have got it, but for me, I don't consider that a triple vaccine based on how I was given it as a kid. So I think that's fair.
I think I might have been given a triple vaccine. Honestly, I can't remember.
Maybe it is. They don't give you sugar cubes because it's hard.
Okay, so interesting. Claire says the answer was different from what Sean Wallace gave last week. Diphtheria. Here we are. Diphtheria, tetanus, and should have been pertussis.
A whooping cough, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay, I think. Did I have this? I don't remember. Let's move on.
Okay. Yes. So moving on to Only Connect and the Whodunnits versus the Corkscrews. Firstly, apologies, Lindsay. Earlier in the day, I was saying you're from the Barons. My brain is mashed up with all the different teams. So, but they're a fine team for me to lump you in with, just not your team.
No, not one thing in there.
I thought it was a cracking show. I mean, but again, missing vowels, your team. Oof.
This is where I think we had the advantage, because although the Corkscrews beat us last time, it was only just, and we nearly did it on the missing vowels, even though I think they were 8 ahead or 9 ahead. So I think in their head, they knew they needed to have a head start on us, and they only had 1 point. So I think in their head, they were like, that's it. Whereas we felt like we had something to prove because we'd been beaten by them, and we just wanted, we wanted to have fun, because the show with the walruses, we had so much fun because we just knew we could have gone out. So when we got through again, we said, that's it. We've got to enjoy it, because if we go out, that's it. And I do think that helped us relax. But missing vowels. Somebody put on Twitter that they thought it was bad that Alan spoke over Captain Alan. It's really hard when you buzz in. If we all buzz, I don't say anything, even though I know the answer, which makes it seem like I know nothing or very little. I do know things. But if Captain Alan buzzes, I don't speak because I know he's going to buzz because he knows it.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to not say it when you buzz in. But yeah, it was another sterling performance by the Allens on the missing round.
I thought Alan Hay, that's outer wing Alan, isn't it? Not central Alan. I thought he had a particularly good game actually today.
Yeah.
Really into the ball.
I said this about him before. Alan's like a Rolodex. There are just certain things that you can almost hear it clicking round when you sat near him, and he'll just pick something out like the Lindy Hop and the you know, you knew when he saw Roland Garros, he knew something, and then asking for the next one, it just flipped that card over. I mean, the only thing I wish is I wish he would have discussed more with us before we pressed the buzzer, rather than just say press the buzzer.
Yeah, that's what I picked up on as well. I thought, gosh, you guys must really trust each other.
Well, when we've done practice quizzes and stuff, it's literally just he goes push the button and he pulls that Rolodex card out, and you just got to go let him do it. That's just how it is. I like to think that the thing that gets missed is the conversations that we have a lot. The Isle of Man question, so mad, because the very first thing I said was something about 3 legs. I got distracted by NATO. Had that second clue been something else, you know, and you lose your train of thought and you go off on something else, and those things don't really get heard. You just kind of hear Alan say, push the buzzer, and I know the answer. So I do feel a little bit like my light is being pushed under a bushel. But you know, I'm not very good at hiding it. But like, I got 3 of the groups on the wall.
Yeah.
And I also made a funny joke that got cut out, which is when the Thrones question, and Victoria said, "Who's the current king of Sweden?" And I said, "I don't know, Benny or Bjorn." Cut it out. It's comedy genius. Cut it out. I'm really hoping, you know, we've got 2 more episodes now, because if you don't get through to the final, you play for 3rd place. So I'm hoping, if they don't cut it out, there'll be some more singing next week.
Oh God, and the singing! I thought she was going to make you sing the whole of that song. Thankfully, didn't. But it was precious close at one point.
Yes.
But you like the singing, though, don't you? That's the
thing.
I
love it. I love it. But we've noticed this series that a lot of the sequence questions relate to song lyrics, and we don't think any of them have been got. I don't know if it's just the way brains think, or what. We got very mad at ourselves afterwards.
That question made me so furious. I was like, oh no, of course it is.
The minute you realise, you're going, oh my God, I'm such an idiot.
No, because my pop music knowledge is dreadful, like my recorder pop music knowledge. Like, I'll be like, oh, I recognise this. So for the first one, I was like, hang on, this is a pop song, and it is a pop song that I know. And I just...
Well, Wake Up, the hard thing about Wake Up was when we were talking about our answer, because it wasn't our question, we were coming up with Park Life. Woken Up by Dirty Pigeons and other things, and it's one of those things, the minute your brain goes down that track, it's really hard to pull it back. Even when you see the other clues, you're so busy trying to make them fit, you're not actually looking at what they are as a standalone thing. But well, there you go. And I still think it's Haver, but there you go.
Yeah, it is Haver, isn't it, in the song? I thought we've actually got some comments coming in. So Alexander from the Corkscrew saying congratulations to Lindsay. Glad you're with us.
We did have a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun that show. You know, they were a great bunch of guys.
It's hard not to have fun on that show, to be fair. I think it's conducive to it. Dave has posted a comment, which I have to hold my hands up. I was delighted to get the PIMS question for 5, only to see it described as the most upper middle class question on Twitter. That was me postulating whether a PIMS sequence was about as upper middle class as it gets. I'm just bitter I didn't get it.
There's only one variety of Aperol, so I wouldn't know.
One question that really impressed me, because you got it very quickly, and I think it comes down to the mindset of your team preparing for the show. But it was the P blank T B blank G, which was just such a good get.
Alan Flanagan is a miracle. Alan has a Rolodex, but the way Alan Flanagan's brain works is just immense. And it was straight away. Honestly, I'd marry them both if I could. I'm not Alan Flanagan's type, but I would. They're just. I can't believe how lucky I was to get with them both. But yeah, you can see, and you also know when you see the question, you just know it's going to be Alan or it's going to be Captain Alan, which is how I refer to them to differentiate. You just know which one of them's going to get it. What's great is I now know on the next show, I kind of show a little bit more of my own worth, which I can now say because I couldn't say we were getting through.
Brilliant.
But I honestly, you can just tell from the question. He's really good at number stuff as well, so his brain just works that way. But yeah, and I actually think we had a missing vowels practice question maybe on the next show that was that was the same but with the missing vowels, and he managed to just do that just like that. Just brilliant. I do love him.
Michael, how good's your opera knowledge, having gone on University Challenge?
Well, I went on University Challenge as a classical music specialist. So, yes, I got that one pretty quickly.
So we've got a question here on that question. Could the connection be that they all died at the end of their respective operas? So we got Aida. Did she get walled up or something?
She gets buried alive with her husband.
Tosca throws
herself off a building.
Castel Gandolfo. What else was there? Carmen. I can't remember if Carmen.
Carmen dies. She gets shot by an irritated lover. I'm not sure whether Norma dies.
Okay.
But the thing about that one is pretty much every single opera, unless it's like The Marriage of Figaro, they all die. So it's not unique to those four. Like, it's not something you could realistically whittle down to 4 or 5. So I don't know.
I remember the feeling of dread as it got to the 3rd clue and it was still opera, because we'd all discussed in our practice that would be the worst case scenario. And we were just like, oh God, it's another opera one. You hope the last one's going to be some kind of pop song with something in that you can pick as a guess. Alan H to come up with Bullfighting was at least a stab in the dark, but my heart just sank further and further into my stomach as those 4 songs all played.
Okay, so glancing through Wikipedia very briefly, Norma is about to commit suicide by self-immolation at the end, but I don't think she actually does it. So technically.
So in answer to Will G, no, it doesn't look like it would have worked. As another quiz show host might have said, it's good, but it's not right. So alas, it's not. Interestingly here, we're diverging a little bit. The title character and death are synonymous in opera, aren't they? I mean, it makes me wonder why it's not more popular with kind of goths, really. All the doom-laden plot lines, but there you go. Maybe there's an expansion available there. Daniel's saying, I'm watching delayed, this back to Mastermind, but if DTP 3-in-1 vaccine hasn't been decided yet, it's diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, often overseas, but polio, not pertussis, when given in the UK. I'm not sure what that settles because
he's a med student. I trust him.
Excellent.
Well, my point still stands though, that when I was given it, I don't consider it a 3-in-1 because it wasn't one. It was a jab and a sugar.
Just to clarify, because you Michael, you clearly know who Daniel is. That's not the Daniel. That's not the Lawson Maudlin, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, well, welcome. We've got all sorts watching. Fantastic. Nice to have you on, Daniel. Obviously, I pay attention to the surnames and write down what everybody does. But no, great to have you on. And we'll come back to the fight back that almost was. Later on when we move on to University Challenge, but I just want to, whilst we're on Only Connect, just keep having a look at that briefly. I noted down Hard Luck Allen on the Isle of Man NATO Yorkshire thing, so it's interesting your take on it, Lindsay. Being it still rankles.
Yeah, because like I said, I think the very first thing I said was 3 legs, Isle of Man. And then NATO came up and we all got a bit confused. And then when Yorkshire came up, we were thinking that the abbreviation Yorkshire is Yorks and then Isle of Man is IOM. But then, but again, when you go too far down the line, NATO's already abbreviated, which I think was what Vicky might have said. Maybe they cut that bit out. Gave that the answer. And I was glad they cut my answer down because I would have sounded like a massive idiot if they'd left the whole thing of me trying to explain it. So they did me a favour there. But yeah, and afterwards we were like, oh, idiot. Because you say something and you're just so busy trying to think that, and it's happened a lot, not to blow my own trumpet again, but if you go back and watch the episodes, a lot of the ones we get wrong is something I've said right at the beginning and then talked myself out of it. So the highest mountain on the continent or wherever it was, that was the first thing I said, and then I talked myself out of it. But yeah, we were slightly annoyed, but it was a brilliant get by the corkscrews. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It certainly sounds like you actually said it explicitly about 10 minutes ago, and Gareth, I'm not sure whether you'd agree, but I think for some reason, as soon as you put me under the camera, and I know it's not just me, it's one of those things where you're kind of, I think I mentioned this briefly last time as well, that you're kind of, once you have an answer in your head, it's very difficult to get it out. So I'll be thinking, oh, this sounds like it's this, and there are a few mishaps to come. Well, they're all in the next one, because I think it may well be our last. But yeah, where I think, oh, I know this, then it gives me a piece of information for something that I do actually know as well, but I know is not the thing I had. But it's too late by then, and I can't switch.
Yeah, I think with buzzer quizzing, there's very much, particularly when you've got the pyramidal questions, that the first time you get an inkling, what you're then trying to do is find things that validate it, rather than necessarily still listening with an open mind. And it is, say, incredibly difficult to get yourself out of that once you start thinking, oh, well, I think this could be such and such. You're then trying to find that one, not even the bit of information, the start of a bit of information, where you can then kind of buzz in thinking it's going the right way. So to then shake yourself out of that part.
Especially with the pressure of knowing who we were up against and that they'd already beaten us once. And so you're so busy, you really want to get that answer, because you know if you don't, that they're going to get it, because they were a really strong team. And they did. But I also thought they got some stinker questions that I was really glad weren't ours that got passed over to them. There were a couple of real stinkers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Grand Nationals one, even if you realise that it's back-to-back winners of the Grand National, trying to think, okay, who's the next in the sequence? That's pretty tough unless you're into your horse racing. As soon as I heard Tiger Roll, it was fine, but I wouldn't have got that. I think the one where I was probably in, again, predictably being a Hamilton nerd, was the vice president's one.
You know what? American president is my thing. I can name them all from start to finish. And you heard me go. I went down the line of the Declaration of Independence. So I know John Hancock was the first one to sign it. It's the famous thing. It's your Hancock, it's your signature. I've seen it. I've been in the building where they signed it. And I went down that rabbit hole. And if I hadn't, I would have got the answer. Because I've seen Hamilton, because it's bloody brilliant. And it's kind of, I'm not too sure. There's a bunch of vice presidents for later presidents that I know, and a bunch of vice presidents for early presidents. The one in the middle, not so much. But I was I kicked myself so hard under the table. Oh, yeah. I'm having a flashback right now.
But, you came out of it winning. A very, very good wall, your ladders, your Hitchcock. And what impressed me most about how your team played the wall was the very organized way. It's like, okay, I'm just going to take that set of 5 and I'm going to work my way through it. You guys keep talking and looking at everything else. And that really, I mean, you kind of, it was almost surprised when you solved it at the end. It was like, bang, 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 gone. Even with the snooker players, which you weren't entirely sure about how Maltese Falcon could come in. But...
Well, don't get me started on that either, because I think they cut that out. Because Alan, bless him, Alan Hay, he mansplained some of the wall to me. Because there was a point where I'd said about interest in being Steve Davis, and I'd said, the Maltese Falcon, could that be something? And he started to explain to me what the Maltese Falcon actually was. And I said, no, I know what it is. Could it be something else? And they managed to cut that out. But that's another reason why we work well as a team, though, because we have different views of looking at things. And he'll spot one thing, I'll spot another. And then eventually, I think at the end, I don't even know if that was in the edit, he went, oh, yeah, Tony Drago. And I was like, for God's sake.
I did pick up on that. I've written down here Lindsay's snooker players, because you picked it up, then they ignored you. Then they said snooker players. And you were like, well, yes, I told you it was snooker players.
It's fine. I know what I've contributed in my own way. But again, I also know I wouldn't be where we are in the semis without them. I know that I am this much of this much, but that's okay, because you need that every little help. So your Tesco teammate, you need them. And I know that's me, so it's fine. I know they are great.
It's a team game, and sometimes you need that one person who takes you over the line because they offer something completely different. And if everybody was exactly the same, then you don't need 3 players.
If we had a question on David Hasselhoff's chest hair, I'm there, because I'm rewatching Baywatch at the moment. So it's fine. I know what I have, I know what I don't have.
Oh dear. Grace says, I love how you guys know the presidents and vice presidents more than me, an American. I have to say, Grace, if you're a serious quizzer, you just have to learn these things. And
Maniacs, because that's how I learned it. They do a song.
on Animaniacs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, they go. It doesn't matter how you learn it. Gerard, in meanwhile, has been chatting to himself. Who's the opera character who dies in an avalanche? And I wonder how they stage it. And then somewhere down the line, he's put La Wally is the operatic avalanche. So there you go. He's setting questions and answering questions.
Is that an opera called Where's Wally?
Yeah, maybe
I've not heard of it. Having said I'm a classical specialist, I'm not an opera fan.
No. While I talk about setting questions, on All Things Quiz, every week we do if this is the answer, what is the question? And then people can submit the questions and we put them to a vote. We will be putting this week's to a vote. The answer was Rose. We've had over 40 questions submitted. So we're trying to work out how we do this vote without it becoming like absolutely labyrinthine. But it's absolutely brilliant. So people, look out for that on our Twitter feed.
You don't have to include mine in there. I was being silly.
We've got. Well, I think we might have to have a vote for the silly questions and the serious questions, but there are some crackers in there. There's one about Titanic, which just made me laugh out loud. So look out for that vote coming on Twitter. Just throw that out there. Now, let's move on from Only Connect for a bit. And tonight's match between Warwick and Magdalen. And what did you make of this, Michael? I mean, last week you were on it. You were on the show.
And we are next week is the other thing.
And you're on next week. So, so we are kind of the filling in an Imperial College sandwich. So we, last week we saw your team come out second best, but you had a nice fight back. Tonight.
We actually watched this one in the green room. Still licking our wounds, but no, it was interesting quite how similar the matches developed. That was something I picked up on. I have so much to say about this. Lindsay was talking about you need a really good team that people can contribute in their own things, and what sprung to mind for me was Warwick. And I don't know if I can nominate stuff for Team of the Week, but I would definitely put them forward.
Okay, I'll take that.
They are.
It was a true team performance, wasn't it? There were starters got everywhere throughout that team, and some cracking starters, and then some really polishing off bonuses as well. Very good performance, as you say.
Yeah, so I think the distribution was 1-4-3-3, and it was about the same it was 1-4-4-2 against Imperial. The first thing I'll say is in our match against we are Imperial. They are Warwick. In our match against Warwick, it felt a lot. I think both teams were surprised with the scoreline, and I'm not trying to cover my ass here. Warwick were by far the better team on that question set, but the score difference was 80 points, which is realistically about 4 starters or 2 starters going the other way. So it's actually not as big as it seems, which I think is the case for pretty much all the matches. It's not just me defending my own match. But I looked back at the thing because I remember playing it and thinking there were just so many times where it was, I have no idea about the question. And then suddenly everyone, all 8 players knew the answer, or like 6 knew the answer. It became a huge buzz race. The most obvious example that I think the internet picked up on was the W and Z question, where no one cared about the birds. And as soon as it came to physics, I think all 4 of the players sitting vertically in the middle, me, Katie, George, and Andrew, all buzzed in at the same time. And there were 5 such instances I counted on looking back. And 1 went Imperial's way and 4 went Warwick's way. So the actual difference between the teams, it wasn't 80 points. It was 4 times 0.2 seconds. In each case, they were consistently better. Like, this is a skill they had. I'm not saying it was luck. This was a skill they had, but that's quite how close it was. Yeah. And I think it was the same with Magdalen. I know Dan Lawson narrowly lost out on that hydrogen buzz to Andrew Rout. Yeah. Andrew Rout is the king of buzzer races, I would say. I don't think there's ever been a player like that where on those questions, you can't beat them.
It's a really interesting point you make. And we talked before, I can't remember if you guys were on the stream, but you see it to a degree on University Challenge when there are picture questions, and you see it on Only Connect on missing vowels, that the viewer at home gets to see things before the contestants do in the studio. And when you've got the wide shot in Only Connect, you can have seen the thing for the caption for 3-4 seconds, and then if you're looking, you can see both teams going for the buzzer at exactly the same time, and pretty much, as you say, a fraction of a second makes the difference between getting in and getting the point or not. And as you say, with the University Challenge, you've got the added element that you not only get the 10 points and deny the other team the 10 points, you get the shot at 15. So that fraction of a second really makes such a huge difference. And as you say, they were great on the buzzer. They did beat you on the buzzer multiple times, and that is the game in essence. If you're both faced with the same questions and writing down the answers or whatever, it'd be interesting to see what the difference would have been. But you've got to master the buzzer, or you never get in.
Yeah.
So really interesting aspect. But we saw it tonight. There was one point where I think there was a critical buzz that stopped the game getting away from Magdalen. I think it was Lawson came in, buzzed, and then there was a fight back, and it went from like 145 to 115, 145, and it really felt like there was some serious momentum. And then Rout just came to the party, and he seemed very kind of ebullient and quite, very lively tonight.
So. I'm not sure. Well, I pretty much said as much, that those two matches, the two Warwick wins in the quarterfinals, were filmed back to back. If I might be doing the wrong thing by saying this, but I've already said it, so I've stuck my foot in now. And of course, in our game, they mistake Coco Chanel for Mary Quant, and I could see what was going through Andrew's head, because when they showed that second picture, and I was like, he's going to guess Mary Quant, and Katie knew. Katie was sitting there fuming that the picture rounds weren't the other way around, that we'd have the Mary Quant against them. And it was just that bonus set. Warwick have previously appeared, I thought, especially before we'd faced them, and I've met them, and they're all lovely. I'm actually playing on a quiz team with Andrew on Saturday, along with Michael O'Connor from Balliol and someone else. And I can't remember what I was going to say. They seemed, in their first two matches, not hugely personable. The three of them, I think, are quite quiet, the three that aren't Andrew. And then to see them discussing the fashion question, which was so out of their depth, that it was just really fun. It was hilarious. It was a side to that team we hadn't seen.
Yeah, it was lovely. It really was good. And I think that's sort of humanization. And we've talked before about... when people moan about why is that contestant look so glum and serious, it's like, because you're in game mode, you're just concentrating on winning. But we did kind of see a little bit behind the game mode, and maybe that's having come off the back of a win, feeling that you got momentum and you're going for it. Maybe a little bit of relaxation, maybe a little bit too much, and then
a monster under the desk that they keep taking a sip of.
Well,
it is one of those quizzes where it's difficult to show your personality. And then, because I tried really hard in the second episode, after watching the first episode, to not look so serious, mainly because I look like my mom, which isn't a bad thing, but like spit image of her with the serious face. And I tried really hard then to have a half smile. Then I looked simple, and then I ended up just not caring, because it is serious. You're there because you want to win. So it was really nice, like you said, to see that kind of personality. I particularly enjoyed the Van Halen Pointer Sisters answer.
Yeah.
Jump. And it was the only one I got as well. So, but yeah, it was nice to be able to see that other side of them for defo.
Yeah.
I thought there was some lovely sets of questions and starters and bonuses. I mean, the Infinity Stones one was a really nice spin on, here's something that a lot of people can hook into from one direction, but we're going to give you a question that allows somebody to hook into it from another direction. I really like that set, and perhaps it's because it allowed me to actually answer some questions, so that was good.
I'm so lowbrow. You said one direction, my head went Harry Styles and Zayn Malik.
That's the April for you. Were there any buzzes or any questions that particularly stood out to you, Michael?
I liked the villages and towns in England that contain the names of presidents in them. I think the quarterfinals are usually where you see a lot more of these sort of connecting things. I think Magdalen had a bonus where you had two words that together, when you took the end of the first word and the beginning of the second word, they spelled a Greek letter, and actually Imperial has done that in our next and potentially last match. And I think they come up more in the quarterfinals, and they're more the questions I like to see, because they're the ones which, like in Only Connect, you have to have a team for.
Yeah.
One person can't usually solve all of them.
Definitely needed teamwork tonight. In fact, I noted down on my notes puzzle questions, because it does feel that this series there's been quite a lot of that sort of thing. You know, take a bit of this and a bit of that and come up with something that's in a particular theme. And it is lovely when you see the penny drop, and it's also when you see people struggling on the fringe of the answer. It's very much an Only Connect kind of thing. Very similar.
The quality of the quizzes that are on there. What choice do you have to try and separate them and give them something to have one of them win, when clearly they're all, you know, I mean, it's just, it makes me feel thoroughly stupid when I watch it. And it's just, they've got to do something to at least give an edge to one team or the other.
Indeed. I'm just a reminder to anybody watching, you've got a little bit of time if you still want to put questions in or comments in the chat. We've had a little bit of talk about how you remember presidents. So,
yes.
Animaniacs for state capitals. Really got to check out Animaniacs. I wonder if it's a little bit like Horrible Histories and the way they've got some very good
the
ways.
Kings and Queens song.
Yeah, remembering it through song.
Animaniacs also do the planets. And the best bit of it all is they do all of the planets and miss out Uranus. And one of the little dog monkey things goes, the one that sounds like John Lennon goes, "You forgot Uranus." And the other one goes, "Good night, everybody." I always forget where it should go, so it doesn't actually help me.
Jonathan,
hold that thought with regards to University Challenge about Uranus. I won't say anything more.
I really hope there hasn't been a University Challenge question about my anus.
I've not heard of this Jonathan Coulter's President's song, but that's worth looking at. So,
I'm going to Google that.
So is this a nod to something that might be yet to come then, Michael? Is this an exclusive that we've got to look out for Uranus next week?
I couldn't possibly comment. But yeah, actually, I relate strongly to what you said, Lindsay, that, of course, you said you had fun against the Walruses, and, of course, Imperial, for the second time this series, are back in the firing line. We're lucky that I think we played some of the strongest teams when we had that safety net. That we didn't play Warwick in round 2 and crash out. I have a lot to say on that, perhaps for another time.
Okay. Right. Well, I mean, yes, we'll no doubt have that. But
next week we go into it thinking this could be, and very well maybe, our last Let's Have Fun.
Yeah.
And we don't go on these shows with the first thought to have fun. We go on because we love quizzing and we love the show. But when you're there, it's kind of, this is it. We've got to enjoy it. Otherwise, you come away. It's like getting married. You spend a lot of money on a day, and you've got to make sure that you come away remembering really good stuff and not getting caught up in things. And I will make an exception next week and watch the show, even though I'm not going to be on here to talk about it. So I can see you, Michael.
But I can, I had a couple of goals. I wanted to get to the quarterfinals. I wanted to cross 200 points, but I very quickly crossed that one off our list, as we're not going to be able to do that because of, I think this is something I'll come back to if I'm ever on again, that I think actually the average standard of teams this year has been higher. And that's why there have been a lot more close games than previous series. That's something I can come back into a lot. I've done a lot of analysis on this. I'm embarrassed with how much I've thought about that. But
that's because you're a quizzer, Michael.
And I wanted something like an 8 or 9 starter game, and it happened against Exeter. So for me, I've done what I came to do on University Challenge. Anything beyond this point is a bonus.
Yeah. Quarterfinal and singing did it. The semis was just all gravy. And we know we get 2 more shows because obviously we play for third if we don't get through, or we're in the final. You can't really complain. So yeah. I just can't wait to actually see it now, and hope they don't cut me out singing, or I'll be really upset.
Speaking as a losing semi-finalist on Only Connect who didn't get a 3rd and 4th place playoff, it's like, come on, Jenny Heath, where's my match? That's what I'm saying.
They'll have to bring me back for a Christmas special.
Get a message now. I think it's that. It's sort of that. You know, when I'm a celebrity and they get to the final, and the guy who doesn't win or the girl who doesn't win will say, but I made it to the end, and that's kind of the thing. Is actually now, no matter what happens, we've had 6 shows, which that's the maximum you can get. So there's nothing more we could have done other than we could win, we might win, we don't know yet. We've got to wait and see. But we got those 6 shows, and that's been the thing. It's been killing me to not tell people, because obviously it's now we've got 2 more shows. It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
It's been killing me, but I will watch it next week, Michael. I'll see how you get on for definitely.
Thank you. And actually, that's another thing that with sort of the wait for these things, I find that really hard, especially because we played against Exeter, and I think I wanted to convince a lot of people we'd lost. I don't know why I did, but I think it was to make sure people's hopes weren't up. And we found out the day before that not only were we playing Exeter, who I thought were of the other 3 highest scoring losing teams, by far the best. They were better than, I think they would have beaten Edinburgh or Lineker had they played them. They didn't. They played us, and it was 5 points in it. And then I knew we were playing St Andrews, who were the 2nd highest scoring team in the first round. They looked pretty unstoppable. And so I knew I actually thought in that match we were going home for sure. And of course, it was quite the opposite. But I couldn't tell anyone. And people were telling my brother. He went to a party, because this was back in, I think, September or something, so you were allowed gatherings of 6 and all that. And he said, "Oh, my brother's just filmed University Challenge." I'm not sure he should have told them that, but he did. And they said, "He'll be fine unless he plays St Andrews, in which case I'm really sorry for your loss." And, it's that kind of thing where everyone expected us to lose.
Did he know the answer? Did he know?
He knew.
I'm not known for my discretion. If anyone watches this who knows me will know that's completely true. I am not known for any kind of discretion, and also my absolutely sometimes baseless confidence in my own abilities. So everyone who knows me just assumes I'm going to win. So my sister-in-law actually put on Facebook this morning, "Can't wait to see you win tonight," and I had to comment on it and put, "I'll just point out you don't know the answer. You're just assuming I'm going to win because it's me, and I always think I'm going to win." You want people, and that's just how it is. I play to win. I might not always win.
Interestingly,
you just do it.
What did people say to you when you lost? When you did lose the first round?
Well, a lot of people were shocked because clearly we're awesome. But it was hard to explain. We had the second chance. And obviously I knew the result of that second chance. So it was really difficult for me to say, we've got another chance to get through. We might get through still. But a lot of people also saw the show and saw just how well, the corkscrews, the 3-pointers they got that question were unbelievable. So I'm not sure any of the teams would have won against them. So everybody was very disappointed. But as I said, well, we have a second chance. But the way the Walruses came back in their second chance also made it seem like it was going to be, a way better match. I won't say than it was. It was a good match, but then maybe they'd thought originally, because the Puzzle Hunters obviously smashed it in that first round. So yeah, everybody just assumes I'll bounce back.
Because it's interesting, because I had some people didn't know quite what to say last time, especially not against Strathclyde, because of course that Strathclyde team kind of came out of nowhere. And I found it was weird because people were texting me a lot after the St Andrews match, which of course was a bit of a shock, but I don't think Imperial actually played particularly well then. We were lucky that St Andrews sort of handed us the match because they got scared by I think the fact that we weren't as bad as the last people they faced. But I'd actually say we performed better last week when we lost against Warwick than we did against St Andrews, and very few people, some people said unlucky, and I was like, no, Warwick were just very good. And no one really knew quite what to say. So I was wondering if you guys have had similar things when you lose to when you win.
Yeah.
Unlucky is a common word, and I think when you are a quizzer and you do play these things, it's not. There's an element of luck of you getting a question that you know, but that is no different than the luck the other team has of getting a question they do or don't know. It's all about what you know. So it's not necessarily luck. It's just there's a highbrow mimia going on for the online quiz league, and I'm rubbish at highbrow, but I'm going to join it because you never know that one quad I might get that's just everything I know about something nobody else knows.
Is that still open?
Yes, it will.
Because of course I am.
Announced it today.
I am ashamedly highbrow. And this is what I do so badly at other things.
Play it. You ought to play it. Mimir is a brilliant format and brilliant for playing online. But yeah, go to quizcentral.net, sign up. Just got a few more minutes if you're okay to hang on. So talking about keeping things secret, Gerard has said, Gerard won 15 to 1, I think series 3. Oh no, actually no, it might even be series 1, mightn't it, Gerard? I kept my 15 to 1 win even from my mum for half a year. How about you? I filmed mine in October 31st, and it wasn't broadcast on May the 31st. Pretty much the only person I told was my mum. We'd lost my dad a few weeks before I filmed. So kind of being able to go around and say, here's the trophy, and just have a kind of a really positive, kind of upbeat moment, that was quite important to me. So I told. When it came to watching it, one of my brothers was around at my mum's. He had no idea. And then because it came right down to the last question, it was like, oh, hang on. Did you just win that? It was like, so that was quite special. But unfortunately, you know, the quiz world is quite small, and people do talk. So within the quiz world, a lot of people found out.
I was going to say, I know there are some people involved in producing University Challenge who are perhaps watching now. I know there was someone who was watching last time. So I will not say how many people I've told, but it's a little more than just my mum.
My 15 to 1, I only won my episode. I didn't win the whole thing. And it was my second try. I rang my mum and told her the story, and she actually got to see it. It wasn't due to show till November the next year, and it showed in March, so she got to see it before she passed that year. So our thing when we were young, we used to record it every day when it was just William G. Stewart half an hour, and we'd compete and compete and compete. So it was a big thing. But when I won on the chase, I rang my husband. This is the two differences between a mum and a husband. I rang him and I started telling him the story, and he just went, just tell me if you won. Let me tell her every single little bit of it right up to the very end, and then the denouement was that we won. Because she always loved that thing. I think that's mums. They want to be involved and feel like they've been part of it. And I do very much miss that she hasn't got to see this, because she loved the show. She would have been very proud.
I had to walk my grandmother very carefully through that Exeter match, just because I knew that how close it was would probably set off her heart.
Oh dear. Brilliant. Gerard's just clarified it was series 2. I was series 5. So that was that one. Just a couple of questions then before we go, or one question really, but to both of you slightly differently. Miles has said, just curious, how did you go about creating your University Challenge team?
So it depends on the university. So every university will be different. The Students' Union will take charge, which is good for getting more people to turn up, but obviously it's not the best for choosing the best team, because they're not necessarily the people who know. They might have their favorites. Imperial now has a couple of, we've got the winners and a quarterfinalist team back to back. We have a lot of people. So when it was my turn, it was people from that winning team set us a test, and then a buzz around after that for sort of the top 18, 20 scores. And then they chose a team of 4 for that. A team that would work well together, not necessarily the 4 highest scores. And we did the same model, me, Con McNeil from last year's team, Richard Brooks, and other members of my team. We did the same for the next team. So it was more difficult during COVID. We had to run more sessions. We had people having to self-isolate, so they couldn't make it in. But we set them a written quiz that they took in person. We managed to do it, which I think we were one of the few universities who could. And then we did a buzz around, which yielded a team of 4 in a reserve. I'd say the new team, I'm looking forward to them being on TV if they're chosen by the producers. If you're watching, producers, please choose my team. I am training them in, because I think there's a certain, like all of these shows, there's a certain art to the show itself that's independent of sort of quizzing in general. But as I said, that's very much Imperial based. I think Warwick do similar, Edinburgh do similar, sort of the universities you see time and time again will do similar, but smaller colleges at Oxbridge and universities that make it on once every 4 years or so will do it completely differently. So there's no best way.
And Lindsay, your team formation was completely different from that. How did the Whodunnits get put together?
So this was my 5th time of applying. I think it was Alan's 5th time. I don't know how much Captain Alan had applied. And I auditioned and never got through. And I've said this before, I just thought I can't be the problem. And applied as an individual. And they put us together. And when we did the audition, I actually thought it wouldn't work, to the point where I almost pulled out, because I just thought this isn't for me. But you've just got to trust them, because they absolutely picked through. When we sat together and the first time we met and we went through quizzes, we just gelled so well in that environment. And I think the best thing is the other teams who we played all said they thought we would have known each other because of how well we gelled together. And they are absolutely 2 of my favourite people. So Jenny and whoever else chose them just pulled it out of the hat. I'm guessing they picked bits from abilities, but obviously they also must pick personalities as well. And I wouldn't have trusted them at first, and I just should have done, because they were absolutely spot on. They are 2 of my favourite people I've ever met. And I hope maybe at some point, if we got to do something else together as a team, whether it be another quiz show or whatever, I would absolutely go back with them, something in a heartbeat. Mainly because they're really good.
I mean, I wouldn't have known you were a constructed team if you hadn't said about it.
I found out 2 minutes ago when you started talking about it.
We made such a connection, and I think the practice we did, and we chatted on WhatsApp, and we just got on. We all wanted the same thing, and like I said, I mean, you can't not love them, really. For the very different ways they are. Alan Flanagan particularly gets a lot of love on Twitter from other blokes who are very. He's single. He would love everybody to know that, or at least the last episode. He might not be by now, but yeah, they're both good guys. So I'm
careful what you wish for trying to find someone through Twitter comments. There was a very odd comment from last week's episode, which was surprising because I wasn't even it wasn't particularly focused on Imperial or me. That was very much Andrew Rout's game. So I was surprised about that one. Someone said they'd like me to eat their liver for breakfast. I blocked them on Twitter.
Yeah, I think that's a wise idea. But it's actually nice. I know Gareth sticks up for a lot of people when people are nasty. And that's really good. But what's actually nice is when you go and read Twitter and how many nice little comments there are. Somebody was talking about I want to say Laura or Lauren, and I feel bad, I can't remember which one it was, on the corkscrews. Somebody just went, "Oh, she's lovely." Yeah, she really was. She was lovely. They were all 3 of them were lovely. And that's really nice that some people just go, "Yeah, I like these people." And there's always going to be somebody who doesn't.
I will tweet about you guys next time you're on, because actually the 2 teams that I'd liked watching the most were the 2 teams that played tonight. I thought it was a very good Quizzy Monday in general.
Twitter seems to particularly like us. We haven't had anything other than somebody saying they were disappointed in Alan H for agreeing with Victoria at the pronunciation of Haver as Haver. We've had very little negativity.
We've got a whole bunch of comments coming, some of which I think are spam. One from somebody called Apple Pie, who I don't think we got enough time, I'm afraid, Apple Pie, to go through things on how to choose the best team and get the most out of them. What's the future for university teams? I mean, it's the pandemic. I think we could talk for half an hour on stuff like that. So Michael, you're just going to have to come back on. But I do ask the question: should chanting be allowed for praising teams? Should we have cheerleaders for Imperial or for Whodunnits? Really kind of geeing up the crowd.
You are more than welcome to gee up the Twitter crowd next week, Gareth. I will try not to let you down. But
actually, I think Gerard is probably the person who's best at that. I'm putting one person in, and I'm blocking them on the comments. But sorry, yes, Gerard, that's your role next week. You have to sing some chants, both for Imperial. Let's challenge you to do an Imperial chant.
But I mean, Kings are very personable as well.
I'm sure they
are things that rhyme, like ethereal and other things. That I
think I think this is why there isn't quiz cheerleading.
It could be quite. because the first thing that came to mind was venereal, and so I really don't think we
Oh
need
gosh.
on that road.
What about how do you do whodunits?
I don't know. See, I just think armpits. I don't know why.
It's not the
it's
best
not
for
great.
cheerleading.
I think who done it, we done it is possibly something we should put after this week. Though.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. I like that.
See,
Yeah,
I have this much to this.
Brilliant. So Apple Pie, I'm sorry. Apple Pie says, I know my questions are stupid, but please bear with me. I'm sorry. You've come towards the end of a stream, so when you've got some quite in-depth questions and we're getting into quite frivolous and silly territory, or at least me, then perhaps come again another time. I'm sure, or I hope we will have Michael and Lindsay back on again at some point in the future, because you're both a delight.
I'm like venereal disease. I'm really can't get rid of me, guys.
Please don't put that one on Twitter.
Apparently, Victoria has posted a poll on how to pronounce Haver or Heaver.
How would you like me to vote? I'll throw my weight behind whatever you say.
That's how they said it in the song.
Okay.
And they that Alan H. only agreed with her because he fancies her, which made me laugh.
Gerard says Imperial makes me think of leather and soap. I don't know where I'm going with that. Imperial leather.
I'm not thrilled.
I would say Endurance.
It's we kind of started on an odd note, and we seem to be finishing on an odd note, so we've gone full circle. I'll just say thank you so much, Michael, for coming on. Good luck next week. Best of retrospective. Good luck for next week. Lindsay, congratulations on your win tonight, and most of all, happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday.
Enjoy the rest of your birthday. Love to see you both on the stream at some point in the future. Hopefully, talking about how brilliantly you've done in your next game. So we'll be in touch. We'll be back next week anyway with a new round of guests. If you fancy coming on, then contact us, allthingsquiz@gmail.com, or contact us on Facebook. We've had a few people on, like Michael, I think, who kind of contacted us and started chatting and ended up coming on. So contact us if you've got opinions about TV quizzing, then come on. So I'll just say goodbye again. Thanks to Michael, thanks to Lindsay, and I'll just wrap up. Cheers all.
Bye.
And so just a reminder, if you missed the start of the stream, of a few things that are going on, we've got a video that went up today about who should host Mastermind, with our kind of assessment on the qualities needed for the next Mastermind host, and a few people who could potentially play the role, as well as where Mastermind goes from here. We've had our vote, which closed yesterday evening on the Quizzer and Quiz Team of the Week, and the winners are Jacob Myers won Quizzer of the Week for winning the World Series of Quiz, and the Hittites and Mangoes tied for Quiz Team of the Week. Now, we had a nomination tonight for Warwick, so Warwick will be in the hat on Thursday night on Quiz Week when we present the nominations for the Quiz Team of the Week. If you want to vote for Warwick, the vote will open on Thursday evening, and get your vote in for that. And the only other thing is look out for episode 3 of the Quiz Omnium coming out on Wednesday. That is cryptic. That is 16 cryptically titled categories, and the contestants are on the buzzer to get in and have the first option at the various categories and answer the questions behind them. So look out for that. It's a cracking episode. The third of 4. The only one to come after that is Speed. So look out for these. Miles is saying the tension on Quiz Omnium is almost killing me. Miles, you ain't seen nothing yet until you've seen this latest episode. So that's coming out on Wednesday. Thank you, everybody, for your presence here today, for watching the stream. Oh, cheers, Gerard, enjoying the Omnium. Thanks everybody for watching. It's a delight when people come on and comment and ask questions and really engage with us and with the guests. So thanks for coming. We'll be back on Thursday for Quiz Week, which is a roundup of competitive quizzing news and a little bit of TV, and back again on Monday of next week with our Quizzy Monday live stream. And I don't know who the guests will be next week. So, you know, put yourself forward. But in the meantime, until then, have a great week and stay safe.